Okay, today I'm going to be making cupcake candles. I have filmed this once before, but I lost the film. Somehow it got corrupted, something. Anyway. Okay, so I make the bottoms with the paraffin. I do a pound. I tear this out. I do a pound of paraffin. Oops. Famous last words of a brain surgeon. I find that the reason I do the bottoms in paraffin is because soy really cannot stand up on its own. It's just too soft. So you'd need like a pear soy blend if you wanted to use soy for the bottom, but it's tricky. I'm trying to, I'm so close to a pound here, so just trying to get there. Sorry, it's taking so long. Okay, so I make the bottoms with the paraffin. I make the tops with soy. Paraffin, with paraffin, it doesn't, the tops don't look good. You can whip it, but it just never looks right. So for the soy wax, I do 12 ounces for the tops. So today we're making blueberry. And yes, I do whip the tops. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes 20 or 30 minutes of whipping. It just depends. A lot of it I found depends on the temperature. When I did this in very, very cold weather, I could whip it really, really fast and get it to stand up really, really high. Okay, so the first thing I do is I put this into my pan of water that's behind me on my stove. And I'll put this in to start melting. And while I wait on that, I will measure out my fragrance for the blueberry. And got 2 different fragrances here. I use blueberry cobbler and blueberry. I generally just use the blueberry cobbler in candles. I don't really like the blueberry cobbler in soaps because it has a lot of vanilla. So it likes to turn your soaps brown. But I knew I wouldn't have enough of that one, so we used the regular blueberry too. Both scents are really, really good. I love them both. And they mix really good together. And what I'll do is I will put the majority of this goes into the bottom, because the scent throw from paraffin is so much better than the scent throw from soy. I'm sorry, that is just true. But I do put, probably, I don't want, just slightly more than half of this will go into the paraffin, and then I save the rest for the soy, which is the top. So I'm gonna set this over here with, by my pan that's boiling. Also, if you want to make these, I really suggest getting one of these. This is to take the temperature. It's so much simpler than using a candy thermometer, which is what I used to use for a long time. With the paraffin, this wax has a very high melting point, about 200. So I get it to about 200, and then I add my color. I stir for a good minute or so while it's still in the pan, and then I pull it out and I let it drop in temperature a little bit before I add my fragrance. Okay, I'm gonna be making them in this. I will wick them after the tops get a film. I'm using dye chips today. I have to get the blue dye chips. This is just a broken whisk that's what I use to stir my wax with. It works perfect. I have wicks for this. It's trial and error because every wax, and every different kind of container, every fragrance oil, you really have to just work on getting the right wick. But I know the wicks that work for these. Okay, for the ones I'm doing, that wouldn't mean that they would work for you or your fragrance, wherever you live, your, you know, everything that comes into play with candle making. So I'll probably be putting about this much blue in. The top will be white, and I am dropping colored chip everywhere. I do not want the colored chip going in there. Okay, these are wax lined, by the way. Okay, so now I'm just waiting for my wax to melt, so I will bring you back when it's time to pour these. Okay, now I've got the wax, this is the paraffin, out of the pan, and I'm just letting it cool down, and I'm making sure the color is really incorporated. If you don't do that, it will leak out. And you'll have well, it won't be greasy, but it'll be waxy coming out of your candle, out of the bottom. With soy wax, I let it go all the way down until it's cloudy before I pour. But with paraffin, I pour hotter than that, especially with the cupcake candles. See, we're still at 190, so it's gonna be a minute. But it's really, really important to get that dyed chip. Make sure it'll look like it's dissolved completely way before it actually is. And the same is true with the scent. So you want to put the scent in when it's still warm enough that the molecules combine, but not so hot that it evaporates off. And that's different for paraffin than it is for soy. We're down to, yeah, still about 190. I'll put the fragrance oil in about 185. Right now my soy wax is melting in the double boiler behind me. And it's got a ways to go. We should be there. Yeah, we're there. So, remember I was saying just a little bit over half of this is going to go in here. Then I save the rest for the top. Not too much for the soy, because the soy throw is horrible anyway. The paraffin wax I'm using is 4625, and the soy wax I have is C3. Zeus, stop. Sorry. C3 is a very soft wax. I really only use it for topping candles. Yeah, you really need to stir, make sure that the scent binds with the rest of the candle, the wax. Smells really good. We're down to 170, so I'm going to pour. Okay, you'll notice my wicks are not in. I'll put them in after there's a skin on the top. have a bunch of paper towels ready for when you're done pouring, because you're going to want to wipe it out while it's still hot. Some people actually put them in their oven and heat them back up again. Sometimes I put them back in the double boiler to warm them up again if they start getting too hard to clean. It's not a good idea to wash these. Although some people do. I have on occasion if they've gotten really, really bad. I'll just top off the ones that are lower. These are one of my favorite candles to make, which is good because they sell really good. So then I just clean it out while it's hot, especially with paraffin. Soy is much easier to clean up after. See, it's all sticky in there still, and it's already dried on my hands. So I have to put it back in the double boiler to warm it up some more, so I can clean it out. And that's all I'm doing right now, is just wiping it down. So it's ready for the next time. You really want to make sure you get it good, like around these edges up in here where the wax likes to drip. And so, and there's the inside of the pot all nice and clean and ready for the next time I put candles. Okay, now this, you see they're still jiggling. Not time for the wicks. So I will bring you back when it's time to wick them. Okay, now you see they've got a little bit of a skin on them. So I'm going to go ahead and wick them. And the most important part of this is just making sure that they're in the center. They won't burn right if they're not in the center. And you might have to keep messing with them to make sure they stay in the center. Like when you go to pipe, what have you. Yes, they're long, but I will trim them down. It's got enough of a skin, it should hold them in the center, but yeah, you gotta keep checking and make sure. If you wait too long, you'll lose the window to be able to do this. So you have to really pay attention when you're doing the candles, making any kind of candles really. Temperature is very important when you're making candles. There's so many, so you just have to be on point. Yeah, I try not to like look at my phone or anything when I'm making candles. I don't want to get distracted and lose my window for wicking or adding the dye, chips, or whatever it is that I'm doing. Yeah, and try to make sure your wicks are as straight as you can. Like I said, these ones are really long, they have to be trimmed down, but these are the right size for these. They're actually longer than this coming out of the bag. I already trimmed them a little bit. See, I'm losing my window here. But I will trim them more after I have the piping on, after they're set up, and right before when I take off the paper. That won't happen until tomorrow. The piping will happen here in a few minutes. In a very few minutes, because the soy is the soy is ready for the fragrance oil. Like I said, this one's gonna be white, so I don't need to add any color, or I would have done that while it's still in the pot. I'll stir this for a few minutes And then I'll pause you because it will take a while. I do with soy wax when I pour, you know, I wait till it's cloudy to pour. But when I'm whipping it, I let it get almost solid before I whip it, or it takes forever to whip. So I get it down to, you know, 90 degrees, maybe even a little bit less. I'll keep checking on the temperature so I can tell you exactly what temperature I whip at. I usually eyeball it, and when it looks semi-solid, I would start whipping it. If you start whipping it when it's still very liquid, you will have a disaster on your hands, because it will, trust me when I say, liquid wax being whipped goes everywhere. It goes pretty far even when it's almost solid, so liquid, whew, what a mess. The mixer, I use just a regular hand mixer. It's a hand mixer I use exclusively for wax. I don't mix it with anything else. I don't mix anything else with it. So, that's pretty important. Oh, I didn't even show you. I have my little blueberries that I poured, you know, a while ago. When I make embeds, I make them all at once. Like the day I made these, I made raspberries, strawberries, and I don't even remember what all, but bananas, all kinds of fruit, cherries. And I do that in advance, you know, so that I'm not trying to mess with it while I'm doing this stuff. Because they wouldn't set up in time. These took forever because the mold is so tiny. But anyway. So that is good and mixed. I'm pouring into this bowl. Usually that cools it down a little bit, but we're getting into the summer months, and so it actually won't, because this bowl's not cold. It'll take a little bit of the temperature off, but not really. And I just pour it in there because that's what I'm going to mix it in. I don't want to dent my pan. I could mix it in this. I guess people technically do, but I think it would dent the, I mean, these are just aluminum. They're not, they get dented pretty easily. And you see how easy it is to clean up soy wax? So much easier than paraffin. That is one good thing about a soft wax. So this is ready for the next time I pour candles. I will be piping with a bag. This is just a quart bag. I just use these when I'm piping wax because, you know, it's messy and I don't like to waste my piping bags with wax. I don't know why. It's a thing. I don't know what my deal is, but anyway. I will bring you back when I have filled this. Oh, I will show you something else too. I stick these in a glass cup, the piping bag, for a couple of reasons. One, I like twist the bottom here, so just in case it's still too runny when I put it in, which hopefully it won't be, it won't leak out. And I use glass. I've done this in plastic, and my husband was smart and he's like, honey, why aren't you using glass? Because after it leaked out all over a plastic cup, I couldn't melt it. So I put it in glass now, so then if it does drip down in here or I get any wax in here, it's okay, because I can just, you know, put it over the steam and melt it down, and, you know, then everything is good. So I'll bring you back when this is cool enough, and it is going to be a little bit, because it's 160 right now, I gotta wait a while, and since it's warm, I don't know, I can't even guess how long it's going to take to melt. Probably 15-20 minutes at least. Alright, so I will bring you back. See, these are flopping over, but it's okay because they're still in the center. I'll get it with when I put the piping on. So I'll bring you back in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back. And I'm going to fill the piping bag, but now you can see what it looks like when it's all whipped and it's pretty firm. Hang on, I forgot my spoon. This is kind of tricky because to get it the right consistency, it has to be almost, you know, solidified. And, you know, you don't want it solidified. But you kind of gotta work fast once you get it the right consistency. Hang on one second here. I didn't get a deep enough glass. So let me get some more in here. Oh, I'm out of camera. But it's good and thick, so. The other thing is that if you get the chunky stuff that's on the sides of your bowl, because yes, you will get chunky stuff, it'll clog up your piping tip. So you don't want that in the bag. Also, I go ahead and after I get as much of this out as I can, I do not waste wax, so I will put it back in the double boiler, and then, you know, make some just more embeds probably, or sometimes I just make melts. Sometimes I just use it for myself, you know, whatever. Okay. See, that's full of chunky stuff that you don't want. Okay. Like I said, this is very messy, but I want to be able to shut my bag, which is why I usually like to do this in the cup. I don't know, I was thinking getting that shallow cup. You can see then that stops you from shutting the bag, and you really kind of need it to shut. Okay, so I will go ahead and start piping these. And it's really just like piping soap, piping cupcakes. It's all kind of the same. I start around the wick. It's very important that you get all the way around the wick real good. That's the most important part, or it won't burn right. Anytime I've had a failure with these candles, it's been because I didn't get it up the wick enough. And so you can use the frosting to make sure you get the wick centered good. Little tilters here. I do both sides. And I will just climb up the wick with this. So get the first layer in here. And this is a lot of practice. These are probably these are actually my most ordered product. So I get a lot of practice with these. And I just kind of build out. I'm recording just so you know, to let my kids know. They don't like to be on camera, so. And I don't want them to get mad. They also think it's funny when I'm on camera, though. Because I'm just talking to you guys. And you're not here. Like a weirdo. At first, when I first started filming, it felt weird. It's something you get used to, though. And I just like to give you a lot of information so you can do these yourself. They're not hard, and if you have ever have any experience with frosting, it's really easy for you. I was not a baker before I started making soap and candles, so all my frosting experience has been with soaps and candles. Kind of fun, I don't know. Kind of makes me want to bake, but I can't have sugar, I had a heart attack in November, followed by triple bypass surgery. And sugar's a big fat no for me. Can't have it. Okay, I gotta look at these. Make sure that they have it. They all have their. That they're all pretty. This one somehow looks. This one looks like it fell or something. I don't know. Whew. What are you doing over there? Uh-oh. And a lot of it, you can just keep squeezing it down here. But there's a lot of mixture actually trapped in there, which I probably won't be able to get out, but I sure try, because I do not like to waste anything. Okay, so now we go through, I'm going to put a blueberry or two on there. And well, I make a lot of these, and in a lot of scents. I do even floral ones, but blueberry, my favorite to make. Kind of funny because I'm not really a big fan of. You know what? It's gonna stay there because I don't want to mess it up. Not a big fan of blueberry. I was gonna put 2 on these anyway. That one already got its 2, that's all. Sometimes I do 2. Just depends on how I'm feeling, right? One. So now I'll go back up to the second one on all these bad boys. And it doesn't matter how you place them, you know? They look cute. These really look cute. You really, I don't know. I don't think you can really mess these up. I say that, but when I first started making these, I actually did mess a few up. I mean, they burned and I kept them, but I just wouldn't sell them, you know? I actually love to burn these. These actually burn for a really long time. I mean, for how small they are, right? I'm trying to remember. I want to say 10 hours. Yeah, about 10 hours. So then I just actually wait to do this, but I just go through and I trim them like that. And these are not ready to unmold yet, but and then I tell the customers to trim them down again before they light them. And to keep them trimmed, it's important you keep your candles trimmed. And don't burn them all at the same time, you know. You only want to burn for 3 or 4 hours. These ones I actually took an hour. And then blow them out. And wait till they cool off before you light them again. Okay, some of these are a little bit too long here. You don't want to take too much off, but you don't want to have too much on either. You never know if people are actually going to trim them when they get them home. And you don't want a giant. Okay, giant flames. Okay. And that's all. I'll give you a close-up here. Sometimes I put sprinkles on them, and the way that I do that is not food. I shred candle wax, you know, once I have them set up, like from melting, like when I go on ahead and I remelt this, I could add color to it and then, you know, put it in a form and then shred it for the topping. I'm not going to do it this time because I put 2 blueberries on each one. But yeah, I do that. Anyway, yeah, don't put candy sprinkles on them. They're flammable. I guess that is all. And so I will leave you with the pictures of what these will look like when they're ready. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.